Hello everyone, this is Diane. I have finished the Iris Journal. I'm calling it Eloquence. I looked up in the language of flowers what the iris stands for, and it had several meanings, but one of them was eloquence, and I thought that was very fitting for a journal. So this one is called Eloquence. Before I get into it, I want to show you what will be coming with the journal, the extras that will come with it. I have some pages from the book. So the book was called Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary and Other Stories. And it is dated, I put this with it so you'd know, 1905. And this I'm putting with it. And so you can include this in a pocket if you want to. And this color illustration also that came with it. And then the story, Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary. And then it goes into the next story here, but I just gave you these pages. And then I had this half of a digital page left over. It's got some, I don't even think they are irises. Well, maybe that is. But there's a garden angel there, and then lined paper on the back. You could just fold that up somehow and tuck it into a pocket for extra journaling space. As usual, some extra cut-off pieces that you can make ephemera with. A little piece of this tissue paper. And just a few of the digis that I had left over that didn't make it into the pockets or anything. And a recipe card with irises, a little scrap of pink gingham, a couple more scrap paper scraps, and this little curlicue. So let's look at the book. First of all, let's check out the measurements. It's a little bit bigger than just a typical journal. It is 6.5 by 8.5. The spine is 2 inches. I could have made the spine a little bit smaller. You've got plenty of room for expansion here. It does not need this sorry silk tie because it doesn't pop up at all, but I gave it to you in case you start filling it up and you want to tie it closed. So this is a beautiful 1905 book cover, and you can see it is stained. And the corners were worn, so I put these pretty book corners on. And I love this. It's poppies here on the side. It has Canterbury bells and poppies, no irises. But I just thought the cover was gorgeous, so I used it. So this is kind of debossed with the gold. And part of the title is hidden by the fabric. I used a pink gingham with little cream and pink trim. And there's the back cover. You can see a little bit of staining here also. And I put on this little ring. And it is not a brad this time. It is actually a screw. So if it gets loose, I don't know that it will, but it moves around, but I don't think it's coming unscrewed. But it does just screw on. And I just made this little tassel with some pinks and purples and a little bit of green and cream. There's more purple than pink inside, but the cover has a lot of pink, and I put this pink fabric on because I don't know, there probably are some pink irises, but mostly you think of yellows and purples and maybe some whites with irises. But right there we have some pink irises that was on a lace applique that I got in a Happy Mail. I put some really pretty scrapbook paper here, and this was a digital of This Book Belongs To book plate. This came from a vintage, very vintage little pocket planner, and it's dated 1890 on the calendar up here. 1890 and 1891. And I chose the month of May because that's where the irises bloom. That's when the irises bloom in this part of the country. I like the little quote up here. How often would I be mistaken were it not for memoranda in this book? If we don't write things down, we forget it. Or we remember it wrong. I added just a few digital images of some ladies, vintage ladies on the front of each signature. I did some pretty stenciling on the white pages and a little bit of stamping accents. And in this case, I glued a piece of tissue paper with an iris printed on it. I used a digital kit from Mrs. Coggs. In case you didn't know, for a while now she's been producing journal kits, not just the cards that she is famous for. So I purchased her digital kit with irises, and that's what I used. And then on the backs of each one I printed this lined ledger from Nostalgia Graphic Land. I think that's where that's from. This is a beautiful stationery piece, and you can see that embossed and kind of glossy iris there. So pretty. This was a scrap of iris paper that I had left over from previous iris journals. I just made a pocket with it with a piece of green cardstock. And this is a large iris card. I believe I got this in a Happy Mail. Lots of space for journaling. There's a sticker there. You can see the stenciling. Here's a piece of the tissue paper. It has other flowers and it has this cute little bird, but it does have irises. This is a flag iris from Edith Holden. On this page I added some pale green lace as a pocket, and this is a leftover digital that I had from TLC Creates Vintage. She has a TN Traveler's Notebook size journal kit with irises, and that's a piece of antique lace there, just a little lace tab. I'll tell you why this is here. Something apparently got stuck on this card and it tore a piece of the color away from it. There was just a little spot, and it's right underneath that flower right there. I chose a piece of lace that I could cover that with, and I think it makes a nice accent on it. Piece of tissue paper there, and a fold-a-note from Current. And here is a note card. I used my pink crochet thread that I waxed, and a couple of people asked if I could demonstrate how I wax the thread, so I will show that in an upcoming video very soon. This came out of a vintage magazine that I just took apart, and I was working on this journal while and I cut the magazine apart in the evening, and I found this, and it was a header for a column, and it said Amy Vanderbilt here, so I think it was an etiquette column. So I just cut this piece of paper out and found a word, Meditations, to cover up the name there, but I just thought this was such a beautiful label there. Mrs. Coggs' digital kit consists of, I think it's 11 pages and a page of tags, and they're small tags. And so I needed a place to put the tags. So I used these small, they're 2 by 2, or at least the cards that I normally cut to put in them are 2 by 2. Little envelopes, little brown. Oh, something just fell. Sorry about that. So I just added 3 of them to this page and added this little digital from a William Morris set, and I just glued it to ivory cardstock, and added this little gift tag. It's a vintage little gift tag. So you have 3 tags you can write on here. And this came out of a book, and this came out of the same book. And I backed it with yellow lined paper. I just glued this down on one edge so you can tuck that in there. This is a cut-off piece of the paper that I used, the scrapbook paper. I added a piece of vintage lace here and a label with irises on it. You can open that up and write on it. And then this is also a text spot with another scrap of cardstock from a previous journal. I just pinked it around the edges. Isn't that a beautiful image? This has some washi tape and another of the William Morris designs. I did this in a video, this pocket here. And it just is a piece of cardstock that I stamped on and added some collage, and I stamped that iris. I stamped the word faith on a lavender vellum and put that on there and added these little flat back pearls. This is a vintage postcard of a lady in a lavender dress standing at her piano. And it is written in German, I think, because it says Fräulein. And it's dated 19... I don't know. It says 19. But it's old. And I made some tickets, or tags, just yesterday with my Cricut. It's the Picturesque cartridge, and I just chose some like flourish designs, but I also used the Garden Gate one because it could be leading you into the flower garden where you will find the irises planted. Second signature has another vintage lady and a guest check and this beautiful vintage crocheted piece. I did these pages on a video, and I did some of these pages on a video also, the stenciling and the stamping. Another piece of iris stationery. Matches the card that we saw in the center of the other signature. This came from a vintage calendar. I think it's just beautiful. And I needed it to be big enough to make a nice big pocket here, so I just added it to this purple polka dot cardstock, and I stamped this little label and cut it out, and you can write something there. I just think it makes a very striking accent to this page, and inside is a note card with irises. This is a little digital, and I think this is, I forgot. I thought I had it in my head, but it's gone. But anyway, it's just a clock shape with irises on it. And this is a page from a book called England is a Garden. Beautiful book. Here's another piece of green lace. It's a different lace. Has more of a shape to it. And another leftover piece from TLC Creates Vintage. I stamped a label stamp up here. There's another one of those fold notes. Another of Mrs. Cog's images. I love that. Those are like the irises that I that I used to have. That purple color. And this came out of a gardening binder. Bearded irises, they're my favorite ones. Isn't that a pretty picture? Some more of that tissue paper. Oh, I knew that this part didn't get glued down. Just want to do that so I don't forget to go back and do it. While I was sewing the signatures in last night, I realized that that needed to be attended to. Here's another page with some small pockets and small tags, and this is a cigarette card of a yellow iris. Again, some washi tape and another one of those little gift tags. I think I used up all my little iris gift tags in here. Here's another one of those clocks. Christie Art Designs. That's what it is. Christie Art Design. There's no S. This is some of the lace that I just got at the antique, at the flea market. My first flea market of 2022. The other side of that stationery piece. There's another gift tag. And another stamped and collaged piece. This is the one I did on camera because it has all the stamps. For the other ones, I didn't use stamps. Well, that's a digital stamp. I just pulled some images out of my ephemera stuff. There's another antique postcard. I believe this one is French, yeah, and it's not used. But it's a lady in a garden, and there's one of the tags. I think that's what this came from. Yep. That I'm including in the extra bundle. And then the last signature has this really pretty vintage lace on the side. It's an applique. And a green while you were out. And this vintage lady. I love this frame up here. This is one of my favorite pages in the digital. I love that deep blue, purple blue, velvety looking iris. Here's another one of those stationery pages. This was from an Ideals book, and it was all black and white, and it looked like a woodcut. And I actually fussy cut it all out and colored it. I colored it first, and I just used my, I did this on video. I colored it on video. I just used these brushes in different sizes and just some inks. I just put the brush on the ink pads and colored it in. And then I put it on yellow cardstock to make a pocket. And I thought this looked too empty down here, so I added another piece of that antique lace. This is a tag. I had to make a nice big tag to fit in there, and this is from the Tim Holtz Worn Wallpaper, one of his sets. And there's it's a dragonfly card, but it does have an iris on it. I just put a short little tie in there because it's right up at the top of the book. This is again a yellow iris, but I think it's a different one. Yeah, it's a different page. Or maybe it came from, maybe they both came from two different books, because she has two books. This one is a lace pocket. This kind of looks like a fleur-de-lis. And fleur-de-lis is actually lily flower. That's what it means. But lilies and irises, I think, look comparable. This is a Jessie Wilcox Smith. Oh, it has her name right there. I'm reading a book about her right now. Well, not right at this moment, but that's in progress in my reading stack. And I'm enjoying it very much. But this is one of her illustrations. Can you see the little fairies? But this came out of a book that I have. Not that book. And a recipe card with irises. And this just came out of a book. I didn't have to do anything to it, but cut it out and glue it down. And this was just in my ephemera folder, my ephemera holder with the stamped images. So I had stamped that and cut that out a long time ago. That might be a Mrs. No, I think that's the same one that I forgot and then remembered. Look at that. I just love that. And the last collaged pocket. And another antique postcard. It says, "Sincere wishes." This one's actually in English. It was addressed to someone in Canton, Pennsylvania. And another tag that I made with my Cricut. Love that purple flourish. And this, I had an extra page printed, so I used half of it to put on the back. It still has the scrapbook paper, but I just wanted to use this page somewhere, so I glued it there, and I think it looks lovely. And I didn't put a pocket on it, so my signature is right there. So there we go. This one is called, I already forgot what the title is. I keep forgetting the name of it. But you'll see it. You'll see it in my shop if you go there right now, and unless somebody beat you to it. And these are coming with the book. So I enjoyed this. I think it just turned out beautiful. I'm glad I got to use this cover. That made me happy to use that cover. And I hope you like it too. So I will see you very soon in the next video. Oh, by the way, I will be listing... You may know that I have just been working on flower journals. The last 4 journals that I made were flower themed. One was daffodils, and then tulips, and then pansies, and then iris. So I'm done with the flower journals, and I've been collecting leftover pieces. So I'm going to be showing this in another video, and this pack will be in my shop. All of it will be in one pack. So it's a really nice bundle of spring flower ephemera. So make sure you look for that video, and when that video goes up, this bundle will be in my shop. I might try to do them at the same time, kind of list these at the same, or close to the same time. I don't really want to put the videos up at the same time. So anyway, I guess that's enough babbling. I will see you very soon. Have a creative day today. Bye-bye.